I had always believed that family should be built on honesty, trust, and respect. My wife Vanessa and I had been married for 20 years, raising 2 daughters in what I thought was a stable, loving household. I prided myself on providing for my family, nurturing relationships, and maintaining a home where loyalty was paramount. I never imagined that the betrayal would come not only from my spouse, but be orchestrated with the active participation of our own children. The first hints of trouble were subtle. Vanessa began acting distant, more secretive than usual. Phone calls in the middle of the night, sudden meetings with friends, and a defensive attitude whenever I asked about her whereabouts raised alarms. But the true shock came when I discovered that our daughters had been actively facilitating her affair. They were setting up secret meetings, covering for her lies, and even coordinating financial support for the other man. I felt a surge of betrayal that was almost indescribable. My own children, whom I had raised with love and discipline, were complicit in undermining my marriage and family. Vanessa, emboldened by their assistance, had assumed she could act without consequence. Her audacity, however, would be her undoing. Instead of confronting them immediately, I decided to plan a precise strategic response. I gathered evidence, text messages, financial records, emails, and photographs that documented the full scope of the betrayal. Every arrangement the daughters had made, every meeting Vanessa had attended, and every attempt to deceive me was meticulously recorded. I wanted the exposure to be undeniable. Once the evidence was secured, I consulted legal experts to ensure that all consequences would be enforceable. The family home, finances, and other assets needed to be protected. I prepared eviction notices, financial restrictions, and documentation that would legally and definitively assert my authority over the household. This wasn't about revenge born of impulse. It was about justice executed with precision. The confrontation was intense. I gathered Vanessa and our daughters in the living room, presenting every piece of evidence. The shock on their faces was immediate. Vanessa attempted to justify herself, and the daughters tried to minimize their involvement, but the documentation left no room for argument. The betrayal was laid bare, undeniable, and irreversible. Next came the enforcement. I cut financial support, freezing accounts and redirecting resources to secure the future of the household and any innocent parties involved. Eviction notices were served to Vanessa and her accomplice, ensuring that they no longer had access to the home that had been the center of so much deceit. The daughters, realizing the consequences of their actions, were left to face the repercussions of their complicity. In the weeks that followed, I rebuilt stability and authority within the home. I reestablished routines, reinforced boundaries, and ensured that trust could be rebuilt only on terms that protected me and the household. The lesson was clear. Betrayal, no matter how audacious, can be countered with patience, preparation, and strategic action. The aftermath was transformative. Vanessa's reputation, both within the family and socially, was irreparably damaged. The daughters learned a harsh lesson about loyalty, consequences, and the gravity of their actions. I emerged with authority restored, finances secured, and the household stabilized under my guidance. In the end, the betrayal orchestrated by Vanessa and facilitated by our daughters became a catalyst for decisive, strategic action. The exposure, financial repercussions, and eviction were not acts of impulsive anger. They were carefully executed measures that ensured accountability, restored balance, and reaffirmed my authority. The story of betrayal, collusion, and revenge serves as a powerful reminder that loyalty and honesty are not optional in a family. Those who attempt to manipulate and deceive underestimate the consequences of their actions, especially when faced with careful, deliberate, and evidence-backed justice. I didn't just survive the betrayal, I turned it into empowerment, transforming deceit into a lesson of accountability, authority, and strategic retribution. Vanessa and our daughters had assumed they could act without consequence. They were wrong.